Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for yet another daily talk of stock. And today it is Thursday, July 3rd. The markets did close a little bit early today in the spirit of the holiday for tomorrow, Independence Day. So tomorrow is July 4th. Go out there, have some fun, see some fireworks, and try to enjoy the weekend. I know for us stock investors, sometimes when the markets could be closed, things could be a little bit boring, but take that time and opportunity to go out there and enjoy your life, because the markets will be back on Monday. And with that, the markets should continue to pump very green as it did this entire week. We could see with the heat map here, basically everything finished in the green. A very bullish day overall. We had 68% finishing in the winning category, and we have had a massive jump on the CNN Fear and Greed Index. We are all the way over at levels of extreme greed now. So the first time we have been at this level in a very, very long time. Over the last few weeks, we have been going between neutral and greed, but today we did push all the way to extreme greed, and that is because the big, beautiful bill has been passed by the Senate and now the House, and now it is going to go to the president's desk. And so that happened. And then also Trump did write today that he will be speaking to President Putin of Russia at 10 a.m. He talked more about the bill, how great it is. Then we also had this post here, so a little bit of a positive if you're a fan of the Waffle House. As we could see, they have taken their surcharge off for their eggs. And so Trump wrote, "We brought the price of eggs back down to what they were supposed to be when I took over on January 20th. The fake news was screaming that egg prices have gone through the roof, quadrupled. They said now they are plentiful and inexpensive. Thank you, President Trump." And so also we did have a beat when it came to the jobs report. We could see here, golden age, the U.S. economy adds 147,000 jobs, much higher than expected. So we did have a beat on those job numbers. The labor market adds 147,000 jobs, and unemployment falls to just 4.1%. And so a big difference when it comes to sentiment around jobs today. We did have another jobs report earlier in the week, and it did spark a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But as I have been saying, we need to respect the uptrend that has started in the market. So I heard Tom Lee say this, and I think this is a very good way to describe what is happening. He called this the most hated V-shaped recovery ever, because during this time, while the markets were bleeding, the bears were very loud, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around the tariffs, inflation, and interest rates. But despite all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the markets have ripped all the way back up to new all-time highs. So both the indexes doing very well as many of the stocks that we talk about. So today we're going to cover a bunch of different stocks. We're going to be covering BigBearAI, the mascot in the background. A massive week for the Big Bear at levels that I can't even believe right now how much it has soared. It has been crazy. Then we're going to visit the quantum plays, QBTS and QUBT. Quantum has started to have a pop in the most recent term. We're then going to visit Robinhood stock and finish with the president's stock, DJT. So we're going to start out here by talking about BigBearAI. And as always, this is not financial advice, and I always recommend doing your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. So currently, Big Bear sitting at $7.74, a massive week for the Big Bear. We could see just how much growth and momentum has jumped into the Big Bear, and over the last week alone, Big Bear has jumped up an entire 33% and over 100%, 102% for the last month. So a lot of momentum building into the Big Bear. And when we zoom out and look at the long-term trend, this is the highest that the Big Bear has been since earlier in the year in February. So right now, if you are just investing into the Big Bear for the first time, you still have opportunity for a 25% jump up to the 52-week high that was set earlier in February. And so still some momentum for investors who are wanting to hop into the Big Bear. And overall, a lot of investors have been hopping into the Big Bear over this last week. week, we could see when we look at the market value, their market cap now sits at 2.2 billion, the highest it has been. So with BigBearAI, when we first started covering this stock last year in around October, November, the market cap was under $1 billion. Earlier in the year, we reached $1 billion. And then before all this craze that has happened most recently, we were sitting at right around 1 to 1.1 billion. And now we could see that the market cap has doubled as well as the price. And when we look at the volume, a lot of investors have been hopping into the Big Bear. The volume did go back down a little bit today, but the price is still holding strong and the shorts are still being squeezed within the Big Bear. We know this to be true when we look at the short interest percent all the way up at 27%. And so with this big rally, this big bear party, which is full of bulls, the actual big bears on the Big Bear can't be too happy looking on the outside, wishing that they were a bull on the Big Bear. And so overall, I do believe that the momentum is only going to continue with the Big Bear, especially with the big, beautiful bill being on the president's desk. And so the deadline with the big, beautiful bill was set to be on July 4th, and it looks like that is actually going to happen. And so I foresee this bill being passed tomorrow. The president is going to sign off on this, and come Monday, we could see an absolutely massive rip in the markets. This is going to be huge, and the markets in general, the sentiment is getting a lot better, and Big Bear has a lot of intrinsic value behind it. Plus, we do have Big Bear's earnings at the end of the month, and so some volume and some hype and some positive price movements building within the Big Bear. When we look at the indicators on BigBearAI, we are jumping quite a bit on the candlestick chart as well as the relative strength index and on the MACD as well. So possible volatility coming ahead with Big Bear, but overall macroeconomic trends are a lot better. So despite Big Bear being at these levels of being a bit overvalued, that doesn't mean that the stock won't continue to run because of everything that we are seeing within the economy. Many times with the stock market, when your stock is performing well and macroeconomic trends are well, that is when you could get that perfect combination and see a big jump up in that stock. And with the short volume we have, we could definitely see a squeeze coming into the Big Bear here in the short term. And so Big Bear has actually been one of my top gainers through 2025, with this being another one of my top gainers, QBTS D-Wave Quantum. So myself, I am very, very bullish on the quantum sector. I didn't talk about it too much this last month, and that was just because quantum in general was bleeding a lot. There wasn't really much going around quantum. A lot of the big companies had already released their earnings. But with that being said, the bleeding that did happen in quantum stocks only provided us with opportunity to hop back in while the indicators were showing that we are lower. So this week, I didn't get to make videos yesterday or Tuesday, but if I were to, what I would have wanted to tell investors is that quantum was heating up for a good opportunity. So quantum did have a bounce up, and we could see it bounced up just a little bit higher than this middle level of support and resistance. So with quantum, with D-Wave Quantum and a lot of the entire quantum sector, but D-Wave specifically, we have been in this trend, this upwards bullish trend for the year. So earlier in the year, we did have bounces off this lower level of support. We do have this middle level of resistance and support where we did see the stock hold for some time. And then the highest level of resistance where D-Wave broke past that recently. D-Wave has bled down some, but came right back to this middle level of support, which presented a great buying opportunity. And D-Wave Quantum is ripping right back up to those higher levels of resistance. So a very exciting time to be in D-Wave Quantum. We could see when we look at the other indicators of the relative strength index and the MACD, they are sitting at good buying opportunities. So not looking undervalued on the relative strength index, not looking overvalued but right in the middle and bouncing back up. And it bounced right off the levels that it was previously at on the relative strength index, as well as the major candlestick chart. So the way quantum has been this year, if you're following the technical analysis, has actually been very predictable and has provided a lot of opportunities. And we may be only seeing more of a rip up coming in quantum very soon, because when we do look at the MACD, we could see that it does appear that we could be seeing a cross there. And with the RSI being where it's at, we still have room to rip up. So myself, I am very, very bullish on D-Wave Quantum and the overall quantum sector. And also there was this news around D-Wave recently. And so there was some fear, uncertainty, and doubt initially about the dilution coming in D-Wave, because they were doing a big share offering around $400 million. So they actually did complete that. The shares were priced at $15.18. So when this article came out, D-Wave was actually below that $15.18, but has jumped right back up. So this $400 million offering, despite there being a bit of dilution, not too bad, because the investors did buy in the double-digit range. And overall, now we are past the dilution, and we can see the stock is continuing to pump up. And so with that big dilution investment, that big share offering at $15, this gives me even more reason to think that D-Wave is only going to rip higher towards the upside, as well as the entire quantum sector, which brings me into my next quantum stock, which is QUBT. And so D-Wave Quantum is my favorite quantum computing stock, but this sits at number 2, and there may be a little bit of a bias here. I usually try not to fall in love with stocks too much and really try to look at everything behind them in terms of intrinsic value and what they're bringing. But QUBT, I have a little bit of an unreasonable love, because they are bringing some of their technology out to Tempe, Arizona, which is where I happen to be. And I know that Tempe, Arizona is one of the leading cities when it comes to innovation and tech. We have food delivery robots out here. We have the Waymo self-driving cars, and we have so much other technology out here in Tempe, Arizona that really is mind-blowing, especially at ASU when it comes to the robotics and everything else like that. So QUBT coming to Tempe, Arizona, in my eyes, very positive, because again, this is a leading city when it comes to tech. So QUBT bringing their tech to this place right here. And overall, their last earnings report, they did have some positive earnings. So they actually did come in at a net positive the first time for QUBT. It was still low, so their revenue was just about $37,000, very low, but there has been a lot of research and development within the quantum sector. And in general, this is also why I am very bullish on the quantum sector, because there has been a lot of research and development over the last 10 or so years, over the last 20 years, but quantum has really started to take a lot of leaps forward, and a lot of investors are very excited about quantum. And so the last time I actually talked about QUBT, funny enough, was right back at the level we are at now. You can still see my indicator from the last video. And I was talking about how just to the 52-week high, there is a 22% jump, 22% opportunity for your return on investment if you're just hopping into QUBT. And overall, QUBT should only continue to grow, as they were recently added to the Russell indexes. So this was pretty big for QUBT. And overall, I believe that the quantum sector will only continue to rise through the year. So very, very bullish on quantum. But of course, if you're going to invest into BigBearAI or into QBTS or QUBT, you're going to need a brokerage to do that. And with that, Robinhood, I have started to see a lot more attention on Robinhood. Around Liberation Day, I started talking about Robinhood, and I was talking about it around $30, $40, $50, but I didn't really see a lot of other YouTubers talk about it. Now I'm starting to see more and more YouTubers talk about Robinhood stock, and that is because of the intrinsic value within Robinhood stock and because of everything they are doing. So I have been calling for a price target on Robinhood of $100, and it actually did hit that recently. So yesterday, there was a bit of a sell-off today, but yesterday it did reach all the way up to $100. So congratulations to all Robinhood investors. And now I must raise my price target. And I believe that the momentum in Robinhood is only going to continue. I believe that this billion-dollar company is going to soon be a trillion-dollar company. Their earnings are only going to get better with time. And I foresee Robinhood being at $120 here in the near future. So more momentum to jump into Robinhood. And something to think about with Robinhood, they have been doing a lot of innovations when it comes to banking, investing, sports gambling. Recently, they just had big news around the EU and the coins, the stable coins they are doing so they could invest into all these United States stock plays. And something to think about with Robinhood is not long ago, they were snubbed from the S&P 500. So when there was the rebalance of the S&P 500, Robinhood was considered for that, but they did not make the cut. So Robinhood not in the major index of the S&P 500, but in my belief, without a doubt, really, they will be added to that major index in the future. So if you are investing into Robinhood, you are investing before this major catalyst happens and before they get added to that major index, because Robinhood in general, I definitely suggest investors start investing into Robinhood, even if it is slow, even if you are just dollar cost averaging one share at a time, because with Robinhood, the value only continues to grow. And something else that's really big with Robinhood, we were just talking about dilution with QBTS, and many times dilution could be seen as a bad thing. With QBTS right now, it is working, but sometimes dilution can really hurt a stock, really have it take a lot of pain. A lot of investors will be diluted. Their shares will mean less. Well, with Robinhood, the complete opposite. Over the years to come, they're doing a big buyback program, over 1.5 billion of stock buyback that Robinhood is doing. So the insiders on Robinhood are very bullish, and myself as an outsider and as a trader, I am very bullish on Robinhood, and I believe that we are only going to continue to see growth within this stock, just like I believe that we are only going to continue to see growth in the United States economy with our president, Donald J. Trump. And this is his stock here, DJT. So Trump Media and Technology Group, a favorite on this channel. And currently, as I have been saying, I believe that we are trading in the basement of DJT. I believe that the floor for DJT sits right around the level of $21, with the high on the floor being around 27. We are trading under that right now, and I believe this is a great buying opportunity for anybody investing into DJT for the first time, or if you're looking to add to your position, because we are sitting low on the relative strength index and also on the MACD. And with DJT myself, I see a lot of intrinsic value within this company. They are doing a lot when it comes to cryptocurrency. They recently just announced their big investment into Bitcoin, how they're doing a treasury for DJT and Trump Media and Technology Group. And in my belief, tomorrow the markets are going to be closed, but I do think that the big beautiful bill will be passed. I mean, it is at the president's desk, and this is what he has been promoting all year. And with that, I believe that the crypto markets will rip up this weekend. It will rip up all those assets. And with DJT taking advantage of the mass adoption into cryptocurrency, this is one of those stocks that could see advantage from the gains that are to come this weekend. Again, that's not a guarantee, but I do foresee that happening. And in general, the markets are very, very bullish. So again, just looking at the major indexes and overall sentiment, I feel bad for any bears that are trying to fight this, because just like it was hard to fight this downtrend, and how at certain spots, if you were buying during the downtrend, you were probably going to lose more, right? It's hard to catch the bottom of a falling knife, but it is also equally just as hard to try to predict when the markets will come down. And so despite all the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that we have seen recently, the markets only continue to push up, as I believe they will continue to do so. So myself, I am very bullish on all of these plays I talked about today. I am right now most excited about that fella in the background right there, Big Bear. I'm very excited to see what comes for Big Bear after this big, beautiful bill and everything else that is going on. DJT, I'm very excited about. about Robinhood, a very long-term play for me. I am investing and adding into Robinhood every chance I get, and I am not going to be taking any Robinhood profits anytime soon because, again, what this company is doing is absolutely spectacular and just groundbreaking. And then when it comes to the quantum plays, I think we still have to see a lot with quantum. And as we jump more into the society where it's all about AI, computing, everything along those lines, quantum fits perfectly in that sector. One of those technologies that's only going to continue to help change our lives. But I would be curious to hear what everyone else has to say in the comment section below. So please drop a comment on if you're invested into any of these plays or if there's anything else that you saw great returns from this week. Please let me know what you think about the beautiful bill. Please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I thank you guys as always for being here for the daily talk of stock. I really mean it when I say this is really one of my favorite things to do in life. I have so much fun, and this has just been such a great year seeing the portfolio grow and growing alongside all of you in my comment section and within the community. So I really do always appreciate hearing from you guys. This is 4th of July weekend, so the markets are closed a bit early. I know for us investors, we are super addicted to our investment portfolios and we always want it to be pumping and flowing. But during these times when the markets are closed, try not to be too bored. Try to just put away your investing app. Try not to think about it too much and just enjoy the 4th of July. Go spend some time with some friends and family and see the fireworks. I know I'll be enjoying this weekend. I hope you guys all do the same. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great weekend.